What is going on, everyone? Chris with Journals, Comics of Pop Culture. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about key comics, but we're going to be answering the question, what determines a key comic? Now, again, when I do videos addressing questions like these, I know a lot of us, we know these things, but there are individuals out there in the community that don't know as much as others. And if I can extend my knowledge to help other people out, that's what I'm here to do. Before I get into it, guys, please take some time to subscribe to the channel. Check out the links below, official Journals, comics, merch, how you can support the channel as a patron at patreon.com for only $3.99 a month, and all the other channel affiliates, including our comic book canon channel. Guys, this was a question from, I believe, Mario Hill, if I got that right. So Mario was watching another one of my videos and asked, hey, what actually determines a key comic? Is it the publishers? Is it the fans? And I said, you know what, Mario, that's a great question. I'm going to have to do a video on that. So here we are today, guys. I got some books over here that I'm going to be showing off and using as some examples. But let's just get into it by answering the question, what determines a key comic, with a few talking points, guys. All right. One. The number one thing that determines a key comic is value on the market. And that value is determined by the collector or by the consumer. So, if the collector or consumer demands a book and drives that demand up, that book becomes key. Now, let's look at the word key and what key means in this context. It doesn't mean a key that you open up a door with. It's key, meaning it's important, right? It is a key issue. It is key and important to us in what we desire as collectors. So that's the base statement and the blanket statement of how to determine what makes a key book. It's all about what the consumers demand. And ultimately, that demand will drive value. Okay, but it's not that black and white. There's a lot of other elements, right? There's a lot of elements that drive the consumers to want books. So what are those things? And those things do have to do with the writers, the publishers, and the content of the comic book itself, right? So every comic book is not created equally. There's different things within each comic book, whether it's something within the story, whether it's the characters, whether it's something on the cover, or whether it's the print run and how rare it is or what's available on the market. All of these things matter. So, yes, what the publisher does to the comic book does correlate to if it makes it a key or not. So let's start diving into some of those examples. What makes consumers or collectors demand books that make them important to us? Key, right? I would say the biggest thing is the first appearance. The biggest variable within a comic book that makes it key is the first appearance, guys. So I have an example right here. This is the first appearance of Silk, Cindy Moon. This book is, I don't have the fair market value at the top of my head, but definitely a couple $100 in a high grade at this point. So this book has been getting hotter and hotter. It is absolutely a key. People desire the first appearance of a character. It drives the demand of the book up, which drives the value of that book up. That is key, right? Look, and what are some of the big ones that we talk about? Wolverine's first appearance. What are the iconic characters? Wolverine's first appearance, right? What are some hot ones right now? Moon Knight's first appearance. But let's go back to, all the Silver Age legends. Spider-Man's first appearance, Amazing Fantasy 15, Fantastic Four first appearance, Fantastic Four 1. Or we can go all the way back to who started it all with Superman in Action Comics #1 in 1938. Those are key because these are first appearance of these key characters, these characters that we value, that we, care about, right? Now, to dive deeper into the first appearance, it can get confusing sometimes because there are labels. And that's another thing that defines what makes a book key, the label of the book. So let's take a character like Gambit, where Gambit has a cameo appearance and a first full appearance. And I won't get into that conversation today, the cameo versus full, into depth, but just to show his first full appearance also has a cover appearance, okay? And it's his first cover appearance. Covers matter, all right? So if you have a character on the cover the first time, that's going to be key for collectors, all right? But he does have a cameo that's argued. It's not a cameo. It's his real first full and all this stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to get into that. But look, key books don't have to be the big book. This is the first time we ever see Gambit, even though X-Men, Uncanny X-Men 266 is technically his first full, and he's on the cover of that book, and it's valued more. This still has a decent high value to it because there's a demand, because it's still key. It's essential to collectors. They want to have this book. It's his first cameo appearance. So you think about cameos, they might not be as desirable as a first full appearance or a first cover appearance, but they're still desirable. So yeah, they're still considered key. Same goes with second appearances. Second appearances are sought after. You can call those key books. Here's an example. I just picked this one up not too long ago. This is the second appearance of Claw, but it's his first cover appearance. So it's definitely a key book. Not as key as his first appearance in Fantastic 453, but it's still a bit of a higher value book because of his second appearance of this character and him being on the cover. All right, another thing that makes them key, and you guys got to think about this too. Value matters. So big key books sometimes are out of the reach of our pocketbooks. You know, when you think of obviously the Action Comics #1, Detective Comics number 43, if I have that, 42, if I have that right. And then, of course, the Silver Age goodness, Amazing Fantasy 15, you know, Hulk #1, Fantastic Four #1, X-Men #1, all those. But you get up to more the Bronze Age ones that are, you know, big books right now with Hulk 181, you know, Giant Size X-Men #1. If we can't afford those big book keys, we go to the next best thing, second appearances. If the second appearances are out of our reach, we might go to another thing, which is the first solo issue of the character, right? Or having their first solo title. So Moon Knight #1, you know, Moon Knight #1 has a first appearance, and he also has a couple other appearances in a Marvel Spotlight, right? I believe. But then he shows up for the first time in his own series in this book. This is key. It's nowhere near his first appearance value, but it's still a key book. Right now, you could probably get a high grade still for $40 to $60 in this book. So it's very affordable, but still, it's a key, right? But then let's talk about other things that we can, you know, demand and desire that we could still call keys. And I like to use the term semi-keys or minor keys, right? And there's no technical definition of these things. I mean, we could call them whatever we want. You know, I like the word semi-key. Let's look at this book. Tomb of Dracula, #19. Tomb of Dracula #10 is Blade's first appearance, right? That's a big, big money key. This is the first time Blade finds out that he's half vampire. I call this a semi-key. I got this book for like $20. And it was said that it was in a fine, but like it's a higher grade than that. I gave it a quick press too. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is, this is an affordable book that I consider a semi-key because it still has something in the book that we as consumers can demand. It's a pivotal moment. It's a key moment for Blade to find out that he is half vampire. Now, here's another thing that I want to talk about showing that is speculation, right? And how speculation in this day and age ties into movie stuff, right? TV show, movie stuff, Disney Plus, MCU, whatever, especially when we're talking about Marvel books, right? We know that Blade's coming, right? We know that Blade's coming. So that's driven the value of his first appearance key book up a lot. So then people might start looking to the next best thing. And this is one that people might start grabbing because of the event that happens within the book. Okay. Further talking about speculation. This is Secret Invasion #1. Is this a key book? Well, you could as of 48 hours ago, about before all the Disney announcements, you could find this book for, probably $10, $15 in high grade. All right. Does it mean it's not? I mean, that's really affordable. Does that mean it's not a key just because you can still get it for $10 to $15? This is a key book. Now, it's not a very sought after key book, but I would call it a semi-key. But that might change. The value and the demand of this book might be changing here now that we know we have a Secret Invasion Disney Plus show. So if this is going to be sought after, if people are going to start really demanding this book, you can really start calling this a key book. Now, the whole thing is, and I know there's people out there that say, that's not a key, like that's just a book, key books or, your Hulk 181s and your, Giant Size X-Men #1s, your Fantastic Four #48s and 49s, first appearance of Silver Surfer and Galactus. Those are keys. Look, key doesn't always mean that it has to be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. It doesn't. It means that it's sought after. So it has to do with what is within the context of the book. Even variants can be considered key. Regardless of if a value of a variant may boom, and then drop, right? But the Peach Momoka variants that have been kind of hot lately, I mean, you could call those key variants. I mean, you can, because there's a key element. There's an important element within that book that makes it sought after. So are all keys, are you comparing apples to apples? No, they're not all in the same category just because you throw the word key around. And I want to share one more thing too, and that's here's make Spider-Man 252, first appearance of the black suit. It doesn't always have to be a person. It could be a storyline. It could be a costume, right? It could be an event. It could be a death. It could be a first appearance. It could be a first cover appearance. It could be, like I said, a storyline that maybe is getting hot because we're seeing it in the MCU or in a movie or something like that. So many different variables. The first issue of their solo run, Wolverine #1 of the limited series. The 4-issue series. That's a key book because his big appearances, his big keys, Hulk 181 and Giant Size X-Men #1 that came before that are thousands of dollars a book, where you could still get a Wolverine #1 in a 9.8 CGC for around $500. So again, key books. What does it mean? It means that there is some element within that book that drives the value or drives the demand because we care about what's going on in that book. All right. So I hope that broke it down for those that still, needed some type of clarification. Mario, thank you for asking that question. Again, I like to look at it as a key doesn't necessarily need to be something that's worth hundreds and thousands of dollars. I mean, there are sleeper keys, is what I like to call them. There are books that, that possibly have the potential of continuing to gain value over time. I mean, I'll take New Mutants #1. As an example. New Mutants #1. I bought New Mutants #1 in a dollar bin maybe 5 years ago in high grade, decently high grade. Now, you probably couldn't find that book for under $20. Is it worth hundreds of dollars? No, but there's value in that book. And you got to look at the era too, right? People think, oh, it's a Silver Age book, so it's a key. No, you might find a decent higher mid-grade kind of your standard run-of-the-mill run filler, maybe a early Fantastic Four book or something like that. There's no really key thing about it, but in a higher grade, it's going to be worth maybe $50, right? Well, $50 is worth more than what some of the keys you showed today, Chris. So again, it's not always about value. You got to look at age. So when a book from the Silver Age is worth $50, it's just it's because it's from an era, there's fewer out there, it's an older book. So you got to start looking at, look at even like 80s books or Copper Age books, to where now we're getting into 30 and 40 years later, those books are getting older. They're going to start increasing in value as well. Obviously not as much as the older eras that come before that. But, you know, there's a lot of sleeper keys, I think, even from the 80s and even from the 90s. I mean, look at Venom Lethal Protector. That was a dollar bin book for so many years. Now it's a, you know, $20 to $30 book in high grade. Will it ever be worth hundreds of dollars? No, in my humble opinion. I don't think so. But hey, you know, in a high grade, it demands $20, $30. And if you slab it and get a 9.8, it's going to, you know, command a decent amount of money. So a key book, you really got to understand what the demand for on the market is, okay? But look, I'm going to close by saying this. Books can mean something to you, even if they don't mean something to the greater market. And even if the greater market doesn't see it as a key book, it can mean something to you. My Random House Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle comic book, that was the first comic book I ever owned, doesn't really have much value at all. That might change with all the TMNT hype lately, but it doesn't really have much value at all. It's a key book to me. It's my key book. It's my special key book. So I call that a key all day long, just because it's sentimental to me. So anyways, key books. What's going on in the story? What's going on with the characters? What's going on the cover? The events, first appearances, first issues. And is it demanded by the market, and is that demand driving up the value of that book? That is essentially what makes a book key. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And again, please guys, support the channel and all the other affiliate channels and all the links below. You can still cop some Journals Comics merch in time for Christmas gifts, right? Let me know what you guys' thoughts are. Be well, and until next time, guys.